Hello, friends! This week we are making a very special wand. We're going to make it an electric wand. Crafting with cocktails! This project is a little bit challenging because we're not only making the usual wand like I made a couple years ago. So you'll need the usual materials. You'll need a dowel, paint, hot glue, something for the core of it, very thin electric wire, solder, a soldering iron, a shooter. And I'm using this ice cube that I got from Disneyland. From the little cocktails, it glows different colors when you hit it, and it has a little button on it, which is important, and it turns different colors when you light it up. I have already made one of these wands, and I just thought it was so cool. Like, how could I not make another one? Let's make ourselves a cocktail. Red Stag shot, like the Patronus of Harry Potter himself. Alright, let's do the Schwerds. Cucumber soda. I got it at the Vaguely Health Foodish store. Do the Red Stag in there. There you go, a sparkling beam of light. Good. Oh, sporkle. We're going to use this hammer, break this ice cube open, and hopefully not break the circuitry. I did it! See how everything works? Excellent, you didn't break it. Osseo better angle. Get your dowel and start carving it down a little bit. I usually round off the tip of the wand so that if I accidentally stab somebody, it won't, poke out their eye. In this case, I left the tip flat so that I can glue all of the electrical components to it. I carved some channels down the side of the wand so that I could hide some of the wires a little bit easier. To make the electric components the appropriate shape, you'll need to remove the LEDs and the battery from the circuit board. I marked each LED with a Sharpie corresponding to the color of its light. Oh, something crazy going on here. Oh geez, okay. Melt that little piece so it will come off. There we go. Don't burn the shit out of your hand. Words of wisdom. I also marked the circuit board to ensure I matched everything back up correctly. Okay, you successfully got all of your cool pieces off. Drink to celebrate. Now I'm going to get this super thin wire. My 3 white cords and my 3 red cords. This is essentially extending the connections that already existed. Match up the wires on the LED to the circuit board where they lived before. These tiny, tiny wires are really hard to work with. Ultimately worth it, but very difficult. If you see me doing anything wrong here, it's because I barely know what I'm doing. This can be a very tedious process, especially if you've never used a soldering iron before. I know that I always struggle a little bit whenever I'm getting back into this. Now that you have all of those done, we're going to use a hot glue gun and glue around all of the metal bits just to make sure that they don't touch each other. If you cross the wires, it may cause a problem with the circuitry and then it won't work. Now, you can do stuff a lot easier than this by simply doing 1 light instead of 3. But I am a monster to myself, and it's 2 in the morning. Glue those together. Awesome. Now we have our magic wand tip. It's important to leave the tip of your wand flat so you can glue the LEDs to the tip with little trouble. I glued the wires down in those little grooves I made after attaching them to their respective connections. I made sure the button on the circuit board was facing outward and glued that down too. Here's where the shooter comes in. Of course, other than, drinking it. I cut the neck off of the tiny booze bottles so I could make a screw top for changing the battery out at the base of the wand. I used a Dremel to carve out an appropriate space for the smaller battery and wired a spring into it. After gluing everything down, I used a small piece of metal in the cap of the shooter to complete the circuit, with the other wire in the lip of the screw top. I then just popped in the battery, screwed it shut, and it was set. Then it was time for your traditional wand decorating sort of business. I used a bunch of hot glue to fill out the spaces and make it shaped exactly how I wanted it to be, and then I painted it with an acrylic paint and coated it with an acrylic sealer to protect it from any wear and tear and to make it look shiny. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode of Crafting with Cocktails. If you did, make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out some of the other videos that I have made. If you really want to support me, please do check out my Patreon as well. This project overall is pretty simple and also kind of tedious. If you do end up making a wand like this, tweet me about it, because again, I would love to see what you've come up with. Until next time, friends. Wink. Hopefully this all made some sense. Sometimes I'm a little curious as to whether anything I say makes sense.